Good evening, everyone. This meeting of the City of Kingston Zoning Board of Appeals will now come to order. It is what? 6:06. My name is Brian Cafferty, and I'll be chairing this proceeding. I'll take a moment to explain how the Zoning Board of Appeals functions. The board is comprised of 5 members and 2 alternates. We have been appointed to serve the citizens of the City of Kingston. We perform this service to the best of our abilities on a volunteer, unpaid basis. Unpaid. I didn't realize that. The other board members are, please introduce yourself.
Ari Wolski.
Mary Newbell,
Mary Newbell.
Donna Martin.
And our illustrious representative from
Ward 2.
Ward 2, yes?
All right.
Good. Your name's Carl Frankel. Okay. There will be a period of public comment this evening after each variance request has been presented. This period is an opportunity for individuals to make a statement of opinion, not to engage in debate. Each speaker must state their name and address for the record. Speakers must be brief and to the point to allow everyone a chance to speak. Speakers must address the board as a whole, not individual members, and not other speakers or audience members. A professional demeanor is expected. And with that, we'll go to the agenda. So first thing I want to do is see if everybody's had a chance to look over the minutes. Okay. And are there any changes we want to make, alterations? We're all good with the minutes as they are? Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion. Yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
Mary? All those in favor?
Aye.
So there is no new business. We have old business, and the first contestant up is owner applicant Mercedes Carrick. And I just wanted to ask Mercedes, do you have anything you would like to say with regard to your application before we make a deliberation on it?
When I left last night and you said it was a public hearing, I thought that I had to present. I left feeling that I had to. So I just, I guess that I do, because having read through the area variance criteria, I really do feel like I would like to just spend just a quick moment going through the 4 or 5 different points, which I realize are used in making the determination of whether the variance is granted or not.
Okay.
All right, and I'm gonna be teaching for 20 years, but teaching in front of a bunch of high school kids is a lot different than presenting something that is like clear to something that I.
One step removed from us. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm requesting an area variance for reduction of the setback requirements for the replacement of a previously existing outdoor deck, the rebuilding and enclosure of a landing onto the deck from a rear entrance of my home, as well as the construction of an open pergola over a portion of the decking. So you can see from the pictures that is all of the previous decking. The yellow house is my neighbor's house, Mr. and Mrs. Atkinson, and that is what was previously in place. The landing, the top left photograph is the landing outside of the kitchen door that I'm requesting to enclose, and well, it's a little, it goes to the edge of my house. This goes in maybe about 18 inches from the edge of my house, this deck, the landing, but to make it enclosed in my room.
If it helps, we're pretty intimately familiar with
Well, and
this
I wasn't
application.
sure, since you said it was a public hearing, I didn't know who was gonna be
No, it's
here,
okay.
so, all right,
It's okay.
so.
You're doing great.
I like to put things down, because then, and this is an emotional thing for me, because I've been dealing with this for a very long time, so, So it's better for me to write it next down.
Okay.
Okay, and the construction of an open pergola over a portion of the decking. So if you, this will be apparent from the photos, you can scroll up. I have to present all but the enclosure of the currently framed and roofed mudroom, as well as the installation of the supports for the decking, minus the actual decking, because I got the stop work order on November 17th. I have an approved building permit. There were 2 inspections done prior to the installment, or whatever the word is, for the supports for the pergola, as well as the cement pilings for the decking support. All of the construction complies with what I submitted. All of the construction that has been done, as well as the application, are all within my my property boundary. I know that in the city of Kingston, I can put up a fence on my property line without any prior approval or applications or approval. I know some of the concerns are that I am not creating a detriment, I'll have to read this. Right, so a detriment again to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or my community. And that the consideration, my benefit is taken against consideration of anything that is negative to the neighborhood. You can see from the photo of the front of my house, you cannot see the structure from the front of my house, you can't see the structure in between the 2 houses, it is entirely behind
Yep.
my house. Okay, and the bottom right-hand photograph is the photo from the street, not this bottom right. These are obviously from my backyard, but the pictures.
So there's an existing fence
Yeah.
right there,
Yes.
right with the lattice, and then it's the picket after that. Is that your fence also, the picket fence?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
all of the fencing is mine, and I bought the house, it was in 2000, and it was there.
So one question I have, Eric, if you could stay right there. The original fence and the deck and the little stoop was like 2 foot from the corner of the house and therefore roughly 2 foot from the property boundary. Is that correct? Okay, good.
Not the fence, the picket fence is on the property line. And
Picket fence is on the property, but
and
the
the
lattice
new-
is not
the lattice is in, but
in.
the new fence is not even, and I can have it on my property line, but
No, I
it's
know.
not, it's even in from the house. And the house is not my property line, I mean, it's close, but it's not on the property line. And so that fence is in from the property line.
So is that fence to the edge of your house?
Well,
Is it built
can I show
from-
you?
It is.
I'm not
So
sure.
the
So
old
this-
fence or the new?
The
fence?
new fence?
The new fence
The
is
new-
in line with the edge of the house, right?
Is in line, no, well, the new fence is actually not, but the new landing, this is in line with the house, right, this outside boundary. The fence is actually in a bit, you can see it's in from the edge of that.
Okay, but it's, technically, it's attached to that 2x4 that's on the edge of the house.
And
The
it-
fence.
Well, not
it
the
is.
new
It
fence,
is attached to
yeah, but the new, yeah, well, I don't wanna say but I can build a fence on my property line and it
That
is
is-
inside my property line, is what I'm trying to say.
Got it. All right. So,
Yeah.
so, go ahead if you're not
Well,
done.
I mean, I know that you're all familiar with, so I don't see that there's anything that creates a, health, safety, or detriment to the health, safety, or welfare of the neighborhood. One of the second one is asking whether the, benefits sought by me can be achieved by some method feasible other than an area variance, which it can't. I mean, I can't put a mudroom 5 feet or 12 or however many feet over from the edge of my house because that's where my door is. my kitchen door, and I have a landing there already. And again, I can build a fence on my property line,
Okay.
okay?
Does-
So, whether the variance is substantial, I don't know what that means.
Well, we have to determine whether the variance is substantial as it relates to what the actual requirement is. So in this particular case, there was a little bit of confusion about what zone you were in, and therefore the setback is now larger than it was originally.
But I,
Well,
I think you have a previously existing structure.
right, one second, one thing at a time. Right. And so the setback is 12 feet. So, and you're looking to essentially go to almost zero. So on its face, without taking anything else into consideration, that would be substantial.
I mean, I
Yeah.
can figure that, but
Yeah.
it was already there.
And since you brought it up, as to the point, of previous existing, when this all started several months ago, one of the first things I asked was, could you please check the files to see whether or not there was a deck there that would have been covered under an existing non-conforming use, colloquially known as a grandfathering. And in fact, that was not the case. The deck was built during a time where a permit was required, therefore doesn't conform to an existing non-conforming use, unfortunately. So we have since established that. Does anybody else have any, are you done at this point? What would you say? Okay, all right. So do any of the, being that the public hearing on this is closed, we just wanted to check and see.
No, we still have to vote to close the public hearing on this.
What's that?
We still have to vote to close the
Oh,
public hearing.
okay.
It's open.
This one we still haven't.
Yeah.
All right, so I see that you want to say something.
Is this the appropriate time for?
Yeah, why not?
I didn't know that.
Why not?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because my name's Steve McGee, I'm an attorney for law firm Dave Coleman.
Mhm.
And I've been hired by Alan Atkinson to be here to represent the neighbors, the applicant just mentioned, to express their position and their opposition to the variance as it relates to the mudroom and the pergola. They have no position on the variance as it relates to the deck itself. And they did ask me to stress there's nothing personal about their opposition to this. They just want me to run through a few points.
Now, they submitted, just so you know, an incredibly detailed,
I am aware. And
so feel free to be,
Yeah, I'll be,
abbreviate.
I'll be
Because we've read it
appreciative.
all and we've been.
I have copies, extra copies of those submissions if anyone wants them. If not, I'll just run through. briefly. One,
Do you want me to bring that up on the screen?
The actual, yeah, sure,
What
that's a
the
great
applicant
visual aid.
submitted?
Yes, why not? If you have it available.
With the help.
there was a March 8th submission and May 11th supplemental submission.
And I just read it again.
I'll really do my best not to.
Yeah. Help me, just back to my email. Let me check, folks. I went back. Just put it in here. And I gotta go to here too. Did she see me there? In the meantime, stop your sharing. There first. And once you find it, you share it again.
What's that?
Do we need that on?
No, you can go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. one point that wasn't mentioned in the submissions, because frankly, I just realized it about 2 hours ago, is that I do believe the application for the appeal here was not made timely. That's section 405-54F2 of the code requires an appeal to be filed within 60 days. Looking at the file, it looks like the stop work order was dated December 15th, but the variance application was dated February 23rd. It's 70 days. So do with that what you will. I did want to raise
Okay,
the issue.
I have a real reason for
Okay.
that, and that is.
Here's the thing. You spoke, can you just hold that for a second, let him complete? Yes, that would be wonderful.
And I'm aware that the board is familiar with the applications by my, with the submissions by my clients, but running briefly through the 5 factors. Number 1, is there a detriment to the nearby properties? I really do believe the photographs submitted by my clients are compelling. When you see the angle.
Scroll up.
So we can.
That's a
we can
good one
stop
right there.
Because I think that is a particularly compelling photograph of the pergola, which was not mentioned in the original building application. I don't believe there was any mention of a
Yes, it
pergola
was.
at all.
It was.
Okay,
But
so let me just say again, if you just put a pin in that for 1 second. We're not going to go point, counterpoint, point, counterpoint. That's not helpful. So I just need him to finish his
As long
comments.
as I get to say something,
Okay,
then I will.
okay, good.
So I just, I'd ask the board to look at this. I think it's a particularly compelling photo on factor 1, which is a question of detriment to the nearby property, where the ultimately what would be the roof of the pergola is going underneath this existing structure on my client's property, essentially preventing maintenance and certainly could cause problems when it comes to water runoff directly in there. I think it speaks for itself, and I'm happy to move on.
Yes, please. There is a 3-minute
Yeah,
or thereabouts.
Understood.
So-
There's another photograph submitted that shows the blocking of light from the height of the mudroom.
Let's go up, scroll up.
Can we down or back up?
Up, I think is where the picture of the mudroom
I
is.
believe it is, yes.
That's down. There, right there.
There it is.
I've seen this thing so many times.
And I know, and so, again, I think these photos speak for themselves. I'm happy to move on to the next factor. Does the applicant have another feasible method? I believe the answer is yes, and my clients estimate that at about 150 by 50 feet, the applicant has maybe one of the largest yards in all of uptown Kingston. So the idea that a deck or a pergola couldn't be built in another location, with all due respect, we believe is just simply not true. The next factor is the requested variance substantial? That's been addressed already. From 12 feet to virtually underneath my client's existing structures, we would submit is substantial. Whether the variance will have an adverse impact on the physical conditions of the neighborhood or district, we've just mentioned this is a very historic district. I think if you contrast the sort of historic uptown Kingston construction of that wash house, the sort of yellow on my client's property that we're looking at, contrasted with the kind of jarring difference with the construction immediately against it, that is a factor that again weighs against this application. And then another factor is, the last factor, are the alleged difficulties raised by the applicant self-created? With respect, we would believe that they are. It does appear to us that there were misrepresentations in the initial application for the building permit. For example, that the work would be conducted by the applicant rather than by hired workers. It's our understanding that that wasn't true, and that the permit was to rebuild a rotten deck, build an unheated mudroom, but we believe that the actual work that was conducted was substantially more than that, the pergola in particular. And that this, of course, exceeded the whatever existing footprint existed for the deck, which of course we've subsequently learned was not actually grandfathered in. It's not a prior
Existing.
Existing non-conformities, thank you.
That's
all.
It's taken me 5 years.
Yeah. So, with the understanding that the board's very familiar with this, I'm happy to end my time and answer any questions.
Thank you. Okay, so, first I want to find out, is there anybody else in the room planning on speaking on this application? No? Okay, that's great. So I'm gonna go back to you and just please, I know that this has been going on a while and I know
I
that
will
this
be-
is tough.
I will.
But let's just try to deal with your concerns about whatever statements were made.
I will do that,
Okay.
okay, so in terms of.
Guys, please not talk while she's
I'll
talking.
just start with the last point in terms of, whether this was self-created. So whether or not you believe this was self-created, I do not. But it does say which consideration shall be relevant to the decision, but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the area variance. Okay, so there is that language in there. Additionally, the pergola, which is, I do not have a copy with me because I couldn't find it, but it is on the original building plan. The supports for the pergola were inspected, the poles, the pilings were inspected, inserted in the ground before the cement was poured. There was a second inspection once the poles that support the pergola were installed, and both of those inspections, I was allowed to continue. In terms of not handing in or submitting the application in, and I did not know there was a timeframe. However, I got in touch with Grenier and Larios, who are, I know.
Yeah, we know.
You're so thankful, I don't know who they are, just to see about getting getting a survey done. And I did that immediately, as soon as I found out that I needed a survey even for the variance application. And I was told by their office at the time that the earliest that they would be able to get me on their calendar was in March. And that the other, as far as they were aware, the other surveyors in Kingston and in the area, because there is so much work going on, were booked until June. So the earliest, and they actually stuck me in in between jobs, so that's why there was a delay. I didn't have a choice about that. That was the earliest I could get the survey done. In terms of the pergola being under the wash house, the eave of that wash house actually extends over my property by 4 inches. And that is indicated, the encroachment is indicated on the survey that I submitted.
Yes, I now remember that there is an
It
encroachment.
is within my property. If it becomes a bone of contention that it's underneath the eaves, I would be willing to trim the back of it, but it is over my property. It is their wash house that is over my property.
Okay.
Yeah, and I also feel like, I know this is not personal, but I think it doesn't, I don't know why I would have a mudroom in the middle of my backyard or a deck in the middle of my backyard. That to me just doesn't seem like it would make sense to me. And they're saying that they have no objection to the deck, so the deck is there. The objection to the pergola and the mudroom, I mean, the mudroom, from what I've understood, even from speaking to people in building and zoning, that extensions that are in line with your home are often granted. I don't know what the word was, because in Kingston, homes were built very close to each other, and if you're going to build yourself a mudroom, moving that mudroom, to basically where my sunroom is, that is not feasible. So I have that, I guess, argument.
Okay. All right. With that, that's it. Okay. So what I'd like to do, is there anybody online? I keep forgetting that there's still people, Carl would be one of them, but he's out and
I
about.
did have my neighbors on the other side offer to come tonight, but I really wasn't sure what difference that
I'd
would
like
make.
to get out of here now.
Stop sharing.
Yeah, so if for some reason there is nobody online that wants to speak, I'm gonna ask for a motion to close the public hearing on this.
Nobody is on that wants to speak.
Okay. So Anthony,
First, Mary second.
It's closed.
Well, we didn't all say aye.
that's okay. It's just, let's just close it and then take what would come. Just one. Anthony, for who's second?
Oh, I did, I'm sorry. Thank you, Steve.
Stay with me, Mary, please. It's gonna be a long night. Okay. All right, so all those in favor? Okay, what were you gonna say?
The only other thing, and I don't know if you're going to go back and look at those pictures, but I know it says that there's a space on the back, on my neighbor's side of my fence, but that fence was just put up when I got the stop work order, because I could just have something put up, and that space is not going to remain there. I just wanted some privacy for what has turned out to be 6 months, and also have a dog, so I wanted to get on my property. So the back will all be in compliance too with, having the my side on the neighbor's side and all.
Okay,
You just.
The end of the name.
all right.
And who you're associated with. And address of your company.
So we'll close the public hearing. Let's have some discussion. Who would like to go first? Anthony.
All right, so I guess I'm gonna start. I guess we have to think about whether or not, I feel that the pergola is definitely, too close. There could be a scenario where a variance, I think, would be acceptable. But that is not where it is. I don't have any strong feelings about the deck, being that the neighbors said that they don't have strong feelings about the deck. I would be happy with granting a variance for the placement of the deck.
Okay, so I have a question that seemed to circulate through this whole process, and I just want to put it to bed for once and for all. You have no intention of putting any kind of a roof over that pergola, right? This is going to remain an open pergola. Otherwise, you wouldn't have designed it that way, but it references, when a roof gets put on, if there's not going to be any roof. Okay, great. Who would like to speak next? Mary?
I tend to agree with Anthony that first, our records show that the pergola was listed on the initial documentation?
It's not listed in the description of what she wants to build.
No, the application of the building permit just lists the rebuild of a rotten deck, build unheated mudroom, no electric in backyard, and that was it. That was the original.
That's my concern, that there was nothing listed in the
And
first
that was-
application.
That was on October 22nd, and then on 11/17, the building department issued a building permit, but it wasn't for the pergola. It was just for the deck and the mudroom, because that's what this was, it's signed.
Yeah. That's my concern.
It's signed here.
We're done.
Yeah.
We're done.
I submitted
So-
maps.
I'll just, let us have this discussion, please.
And then on 12/14, it was the stop work order was issued because the permit was put up. So, go
I didn't
ahead.
have an issue with the deck, because there was a deck there before. I understand that there was no,
Yes, it does not qualify under an existing non-conforming use.
but there was one there before, and the neighbors are concerned with that.
Right.
Okay, I am also concerned with the mudroom being right there. Okay, that was not an it was a deck.
Well, it was a back stoop.
Back stoop.
With a tiny
But
open
I
roof over it, which was less massing. That is true.
yeah, so that's my concern. The mudroom, I think, could be shifted over somewhat, maybe not close to the sunroom, and the pergola. I understand that she's saying that their roof of that washroom is over 4 inches, but it looks to me as though the pergola is over more than 4 inches onto the neighbor's property. So,
The survey, if you look at the survey, it shows that it is not. And I
Okay.
submitted 10 copies of that survey and spent $2,000 on it.
Okay. Ari?
I don't have any specific comments.
Okay. Donna?
Okay, well, as we said, the deck doesn't seem to be an issue for most of us, but the pergola is definitely built. It wasn't part of the original plan, it was an after the fact. And it was built on the line, leaving no distance from the neighbors, already pre-existing wash house. So that is definitely a change in the character and also substantial change to the property. When you think about it. And it also impacts it as it pertains to the neighbor's yard, so, and the wash house.
Mhm.
So,
That doesn't actually,
I'm sorry.
plus it doesn't meet any of the setbacks. There's no adherence to the sideline setbacks. So
Yes,
what-
we've already established that
right, so
that-
was this
that it's a
self-created?
substantial departure from
Exactly.
what is the required setback.
So was it self-created? I say yes. You're seeking a relief after the stop work order was issued because the permit was already put up. And the original building permit issue was for replacing the deck and adding a mudroom. The pergola and the extended deck built without plans or approval for the setback, for the side setbacks. So I think that yes, it was definitely self-created.
Okay, my turn. So pretty much I'm concurring with everything that's been said. We live in a city, in this particular area of the city, houses are unusually close to one another. In this particular case, the decision made back in 1840 something, to divide the properties the way they were divided, set up the conditions that, have led us to where we are today. And that is that, perhaps if it was down the middle of the space between the house, there might be less of an issue. But the point I'm trying to get at is that as neighbors, we live very close. Encroachments are very common in the city because oftentimes people buy homes, they're city lots, they don't get them surveyed. In this particular case, the fact that there's an encroachment on a building onto that lot that's been there for over 100 and some odd years would have perhaps became, known had a survey been done at the time of the purchase of the house, because then you would have known the encroachment was there. it's about trying to get along as neighbors and trying to live close to one another and trying to utilize the spaces we can in ways that are respectful. And that's really what I try to urge, and it's what we try to do. We don't take any sides in this, and we don't want to foment any issues between neighbors. We're just trying to figure out how to do this in such a way that conforms to the guidelines that we have to follow. And at the same time, maybe provide some opportunities to do things a little differently so that everybody's happy, right? So that's what I wanted.
There's been some gross misrepresentation here, and I really need to say something.
Okay, go ahead and say it.
The application that I made included a pergola. In fact, I was asked to amend the drawings. No one's talking about the site plan that I had to submit with the building permit application, which was approved.
So it wasn't in the narrative, but it was in the site plan.
And the pilings for the pergola prior to the posts, the support posts being installed were inspected, and then once the pilings were, once the supports were poured, it was inspected again by the city. By zoning. So everywhere along the line here, I have been following within the confines of an approved building permit.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions. One is at any given time during this process, did you suggest to your neighbor that they might actually need or want to do any kind of painting or scraping or repairs on the wash house before you put up the pergola? Because after it was put up, they wouldn't be able to access it again?
Right, and my neighbors who, for the record, we have been extraordinarily close friends up until about a year and a half. Since I mentioned my plans. We even got together and talked about it, at which point when because Tim didn't know what I was doing, and I explained it to them, we sat down and talked about it. And when I mentioned the pergola, Helen's response was to Tim, I want a pergola. So I have to say that I have been 1,000% blindsided by this. I mean,
Okay.
she came to my vacation, I mean,
I don't need all the.
this is not,
I'm just saying,
there's
it
no
was a
malice
simple-
here,
it was-
there's no, and, I'm not trying.
I am trying to indulge you, okay? So please, let's just try to do our best to keep things brief. And we don't need to get into any of that. That was a question that I had because it came up. So I think at the end of the day, some of these choices were not well thought out as it relates to how they impact the neighbor. As it relates to whether or not it's substantial. For instance, I mean, I know that you say, and I believe you, that you believe that you've done everything you possibly could, but there are a few things that turned out. For instance, when you made the application, you were doing the work yourself, but that in fact was not the case.
Well,
You hired
I
people to do
started
it.
and then I ran into someone at a party and had someone else do it. I'm not gonna, yes, my
Right,
son, my
okay.
son-in-law and daughter and I, we're gonna do this.
So, here's, I'm gonna just, we're gonna wrap this up. I'm in agreement with what everybody else said. I feel there are real issues with the pergola. There's so many other places you could have put that structure. You have the room, you have the deck. It didn't have to be literally tucked up under the eaves of your neighbor's building, regardless of whether there's an encroach.
I was not looking to be small.
No, I'm not saying you were. I'm just saying that it was a bad choice. And it's a structure, regardless of whether it's on the site plan, not in a narrative, it's a structure that would need a variance from us at 100%, which is substantial. And as as a part of our application, we have to take that into account. Right, that there alone would negate the variance for the pergola.
And again, I haven't heard Bill, having spent an extraordinary amount of money on all of this.
I know you have. And don't think for 1 second that I'm not, I really understand that. And I'm just saying that,
And the meeting that I had with my neighbors, when I discussed what I was doing, there were no issues presented to me. So you're saying I made bad choices. I had a conversation with them beforehand, and there were no issues that were.
the other issue that I have is that just let me finish. The other issue I have, and it just would look better. The mudroom being moved all the way in line with the fence on what is already a constrained property boundary just puts this massive like wall, I just don't understand why that decision was made. But there again, was it planned to be moved to the corner of the house like that?
Well, at the time, and we were both in agreement that those two windows, the one window now that is even with the mudroom is a kitchen window. And we had in our discussion that it would give us both more privacy, because when I would walk out on my deck, I was looking right at their kitchen window. I mean, it's not, and it's also an area that space in between is an area that is used for their garbage cans.
Okay.
It's not a living area on their side.
Okay. So would we be looking at a reapplication for the pergola and if we went that route, it would be for the pergola, variance for the pergola and a variance for the, help me out here.
The way I read it is that everything was couched in terms of one variance that included all of those structures. And it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like you guys are moving towards approving a variance that is limited just to the 35-foot deck and not any of the other structures that were part of the requested variance. So you guys don't have to approve the variance as requested. You guys can limit it, such as just approving it as it relates to the deck, or you guys can put other conditions and other things on it. If you just want to make the record clear, whatever motion you guys are looking to either approve or deny, what the extent of the variance that you're approving.
Okay, so with that said, I'm getting the gist that we're all on the same page with regard to the deck. The neighbor doesn't have an issue with the deck. The two contentious elements are the pergola and the mudroom. So, I certainly don't have a problem approving the variance as it relates to the deck, which is a substantial variance. But, it's the city of Kingston, everything's close and tight. The other structures, I would strongly recommend that you rethink them and come back with a application for a variance for those structures, and then we can look at that. But I think that my suggestion is that you think about reducing the amount of the variance you're asking for. If you understand what I'm saying. If it's 12 feet, then, moving them further from the property
It's
boundary.
actually more than 12 feet technically.
Well, 16 feet, is it?
The variance he's requesting is from a 30-foot setback.
Oh, that's,
Agreed.
I'm sorry, excuse me, I shouldn't have said, strike that from the record. That's just ridiculous.
I agree, it's ridiculous.
Maybe that's more appropriate.
It is what the code says.
I can't believe I said that. Yeah.
When O2 borders a residential district, the setbacks are all made 30 feet. Yeah, it's footer number 30.
It says use.
Most yards are in.
It says use R5.
R5,
So I
right.
looked at it,
It's 5 feet.
footnote is actually, it's 12 feet, footnote 7.
With this.
Footnote 6. Item side yard must be increased to half the height of the side
Yeah.
wall if that residence is greater than 12 feet. So if the house is 30 feet, it'd be increased to 15 feet.
Either way, it's a bigger number.
So a bigger number.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a moot point because we know that we're not going to get anybody under 15 or
So then I can do it.
It's like, you know.
Nothing. Unfortunately, I get it. Believe me, I'm not.
Okay.
My question to you is, okay, on the variance for the pergola and the mudroom, are you suggesting that they come back and leave as is and request a variance as is right now, currently?
No.
Well, I think we're
No.
talking about,
No, I'm a little confused on that. I'm just asking the question.
Well, there's
For them to rethink about.
there's a
moving.
couple of ways, we can do this. We could approve the variance, but it doesn't include the
Right, that-
pergola and the mudroom.
Right.
Or we could just have the applicant, withdraw the application for now and come back with a whole new application with those adjusted.
But in the meantime, it'd be a 30-day order to remedy violation orders. Right.
Well, okay. So can we say that? Okay, all right, that's fine. All right, so can I have I'm sorry,
Just briefly, in response to what Mr. Kitchen said, I guess it would be my client's hope or expectation that if the variance were denied for the pergola and the mudroom as is, that there would be an ordered remedy and that those structures would have to come down. And if the applicant wants to make another application for a variance to put them in a different place, then, there would be a separate conversation, that the existing structures would come down pursuant to.
Yeah, that's not something that they contemplate. That would be something that they make their decision and then the city, police and building and safety department. has to-
Fair enough, thank you.
yeah, I mean, just personally, I think that to try and encourage neighborly relations, it just seems to me to make them take it down and then put it back up. Whatever, but that's up to you guys. You guys will work that out. Can I get a motion from somebody to approve the variance as it relates to the deck as currently built? Okay, hold on, let me finish. That does not extend to the pergola and the mudroom. That we're going to suggest to the applicant to come back and make some adjustments with regard to those structures and ask for a variance in a new application for those structures.
Leaving as is where they are and not changing.
That's got nothing to do, that has to do with those guys and whether they're going to order the remedy and all that, that's got nothing to do with us. How they
But the
do
new
that.
variance, the request for the variance on the pergola.
whatever she applies to.
Whenever she applies for it, yeah. I would do that as soon as possible, is my suggestion. So do I have a motion?
Yeah, I'll motion to grant the variance for the deck and no other structures.
Doing our best to divide the baby here.
Didn't hear you second.
Okay, so, Tony, and then the second was Mary? Oh, Don?
She was pointing me out second.
All in favor? Okay,
You should have to make a motion to deny the two.
what's
I
that?
think we did that in one fell swoop.
Okay, we did that in all one.
So they're granting a motion, but they're limiting, because it seems the way it's couched in here is that it was a request for one area variance, but including all three of those structures, where they're just granting it, limiting it. So in effect, by only granting a limited variance, they are denying the rest.
That's a fair number.
Yeah.
Okay. Voting sheet on that?
I would vote with you.
Can you get me? Oh, is that it?
Yeah, would be if you want
Yeah,
to
and-
review that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, can you-
Now, we're gonna do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Main event.
Sorry.
I'm gonna call for a bio break.
Okay.
I was gonna say, should I get some beers?
Okay.
Wow.
I wanted to see person come down. I wanted to see that come
I
down.
did, I don't,
Yeah.
she has a totally out, she
I
threw
don't
that
know
one.
plan that for her, but that's poor planning, whatever design she came up with.
Yeah.
Very poor planning. I could have done a better job.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even the mudroom, if it was like 10 inches in from the side of the house, it would be enough to like create a variance and big variable
Yeah,
depth.
and plus she had room. Be-
Yeah.
Before her sunroom, her little sunroom, whatever it is, you know, she still had a little extra space, but. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Wake up already.
I'm here.
It goes like I was before.
Oh, no. I send my cane over,
No,
give you a kick.
oh,
Mm.
what's that, your new bag you got on the cruise?
Yeah,
Very
this,
pretty.
I want to tell you, this is one of the best totes because it's got the little,
Everything.
yeah, it's got the little thing. I would put my notary stamp on one side and, you know,
There you go.
but I do, I travel with it. Look, I got my keys in my wallet all the time. Right, and you're not gonna lose it. It's not coming out.
Or somebody's not reaching in and be able to grab it, that's my big concern.
Yeah, the only thing was the zipper busted on it.
Oh,
But this was the first paralegal cruise that I went on. That was back in 2015. So I'm going on the next one in 2023. But I don't need CLA credits in New York. You don't need that. So. But a lot of the gals do. And if you're a registered paralegal or certified with two of the national paralegal organizations, if you're in New York, then you want to get your CLA, you know. So it's a lot of fun. So the next one, all the cruises have been out there, Florida and Miami, except for Tampa. Tampa was the first one. But everything else has been out of Miami, but the one in March is out of New York.
Oh, nice, yeah.
I'm going to Bermuda.
We went in 2012, we went back, because we've been there.
Yeah, I've been there several times, yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful in 78.
It's gorgeous.
Much different. It's gorgeous now, but.
I know, in 74, I rented mopeds.
We did too.
I rented.
In 78, and then, well, we did it in 2012, and that's how my husband got hurt. He
Yeah.
broke his, left leg. He had surgery there.
Oh, my
Yes,
goodness.
they did a better job than they did here.
Sure.
When he got home, he had additional surgery. I mean, he just shattered the leg.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I mean, it was a year of.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just go, I say hello, I know all the legals that are part of the group, legal stakeholders. Keep in touch, what do you do, Aaron?
What do I do?
Yeah.
I'm a physician.
Oh, okay, doctor. All right. I did not know that. No wonder why you can't be full time.
I think I have to leave. So.
So if we had a meeting, there's no way.
Oh, yeah, that's right, I've never seen you, Mr. Rose. Yeah, okay. Are you local?
Yes. In my office on Pearl Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's over there, the gastro.
That's me.
Oh, all right, with Dr. Dodge.
Sure.
See, I know. Yep. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been here.
It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot.
89 old. Very busy.
Oh, yeah, I know.
We definitely have to get some more people to sign up. Every now and then they put it up on Facebook. Volunteers for different organizations. I applied for some because I had a real estate background.
Oh, yeah, sure.
That works. Research.
Yeah.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys, can we adjourn?
Yes.
Oh, I know.
It's all right. There's 5 people online waiting for us to find. Well, actually, there's 3 people online. There's one of those. One of those people is a cop.
They all had a little background from me.
Oh, yeah.
It's tragic what happened down there. Okay. Just when you thought we were.
These are way simpler. The public hearing on this, Jackie. No, they can watch, but they don't have any opportunities.
Okay. Next up on The Price is Right.
No, that's the other one.
Real board meeting. There I was on. That's the other. Okay.
Sir, Alex Allegheny. I just needed to hear it. This is like, man, I'm learning so much. Okay. All right. Alex Allegheny and Company. So just wanted to find out if you guys have anything you want to say before we start deliberating, because we closed the public hearing.
Correct. I think it's a program. I think there's some new members here tonight. I'm just kind of like to go through the variances themselves, each project.
Okay.
If that's okay with you?
Yes, you're gonna do that quickly?
Quickly.
That would be actually, wouldn't hurt.
Okay. So,
Anybody have a problem with that? There's nothing there?
Thank you. But maybe facing the.
Okay, down there.
okay, thank you.
Get up there, center stage for me.
Good evening, everyone.
Oh, where's my cheat sheet? It's here. There it is. Okay.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Joseph Menuda, and I'm here with Mr. Al Cavagnini with regard to the projects. What we have before you are 5 separate applications. We seem to have them both, I guess, for convenience, and so we can understand that they're related to one another as far as property is concerned. But in truth, they are individual applications for each lot. For lot 24, and the majority of these are for a lot of existing non-conformities. Okay, for instance, we have the existing, what was a synagogue and then a church on the property. The lot meets the lot area and the lot width. It's missing a couple of items to meet current zoning, current planning requirements. We provided, let's see here. Forgive me, let me start again, if you will, all right? So this is existing building, we have a height variance issue where we have 3 feet, okay, in excess of current zoning. So when the building was originally constructed, zoning didn't exist, building didn't exist. So we have existing nonconformities, so we're asking for a height variance for the existing building. We're also asking for a floor area ratio variance for the existing building. Again, it's already existing.
Now, I have a question about that.
Yes.
What's the required?
We got one,
One, right?
right? And so we need an additional 0.04, only because it's existing. And we are improving that position because there's a couple of appendages to that structure that are in poor repair and will be demolished. So we're actually reducing it on our own by. So, but if we try to do any more, we're going to bring the context of the building. So again, these are existing non-conformities. The last one, because we're going from the house of worship use to the retail commercial on the main floor, which is required in the zone, and then residential on the second floor, there is a variance being requested of 24 spaces, parking stalls.
How many residential units in there?
We are requesting 4 that will be before the planning board for that particular
Right.
item.
And how many square feet of retail?
Gosh,
Right, whatever, it doesn't matter.
it's,
It's the mixed use overlay.
Jeff, if you could find that while I continue
That's
my
okay,
presentation, thank you.
Yeah.
So all in all, what we come up with is we have 24 spaces based on current zoning, the current uses, what we'd like to propose, we have 24 spaces that we would need a variance for. And, if they kept it as the same use, we had this discussion before, and I'm not getting a dead horse, but we should take a look at it. There is a balance there. So although it seems like a lot, it's a lot less than if the use remained as it was. So that's for the first part. Would you like me to do the second, or do you want to go with each one?
No, you're gonna go to lot 25 now, right?
Okay, so, thank you. So lot 24, that's 3 variances for existing nonconformities with exception of the park. For lot number 25, which is right next to the church, we're requesting 4 variances.
This is, these are the lots.
Those are the lots.
May I,
It's right adjacent to the church.
may I approach?
Please, yeah, sure.
So lot 20, this is 24, 25, 26.
You guys want this?
This is lot 9 and 10. I think it's already easier. They have it there, they can see it easier. Thank you. It's the same size. Yours is in color.
There are 3 lots in a row, and then across the street there are 2 lots. It's a total of 5.
Okay, so now we're talking about the lot directly adjacent to former church.
Yeah.
Again, these are existing nonconformities for lot area only. Lot width, 3 foot 8 inches. The lot itself is short. It just is what it is. When they were originally created, obviously zoning was not in effect. The zoning was created, and unfortunately, sometimes we do these things to clean up the lots themselves, right? So 3 foot 8 inches is what we're looking for that existing non-conformity. The floor area ratio, that's another item here. So in order to accommodate what planning dictates for the 3-family, as far as usable green space, which we're placing on roof, we try to accommodate having parking on site to the best of our ability, rather than asking for more parking variances. We're asking for a floor area ratio difference of 0.32. And then the last part of it is parking for 3 spaces. Now, for this particular lot, if we didn't have parking on, we'd be asking for a lot more parking spaces.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, and I know the first one, basically, you need 100% parking spaces offsite, correct?
Right, that's the way it exists.
So the 3 spaces, what's required, 7?
Jonathan? Seven.
So this is approximating.
So we have 4 on site for that particular property, but we have to offset 3 more because we can't fit them on site.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Sure. We are, for lot number 25, we have 4 parking spaces on site,
Right,
but 7 are required, so
yes,
3 is.
I got that part.
Okay.
Okay. It's just the way you said it, it was.
Sorry.
Okay, so that's, okay, go ahead, keep going.
Thank you. And that is it for that particular lot, 25. So it's one more, 7 foot 4 inches in height. Japheth, could you please show them the elevation view? So we created, and I'll bring that to the floor here by the chairman. Thank you so much. So we try to do this as a visual. We try to do this as a visual so you could understand the concept of where we are with this and why we need the variances. This is lot 20. We need a variance, existing church. We need a variance because of the ridge, and we need a variance because of the chimney. That's where we're at. And this is this red line here represents 35 feet above this line. That's 20. For 25, at this piece here, this is 25, this is 26. So in order to accommodate what we need for this property, we actually fall below the 35-foot maximum height for the building in the roof, including the guardrail for the roof canopy. As a opportunity, we did have a pergola here for a design feature. If that becomes an issue, if you're not in favor of that, that can certainly be removed.
Bang.
Yes.
Call it something else.
Okay. It's an open sky structure. Open sky structure. Okay. So, and you got that? Thank you. All right, wonderful. So this here is the elevator and fire stair. That allows us to get to the roof so that you can enjoy the activities there, which are required by code. The reason we're requesting a variance of 7 foot 4 inches is because in order to get this stair up here, this part pops up. I just want to.
Yeah, it's like an elevator shaft.
Right. Okay. So that's for lot 25 and 3 spaces. That's it. So that's 7 foot 4 inches. For lot 26, right next to it. Okay, this will be split. For lot 26, we have a 5 foot lot width because it's just narrow. It's the way the lot was created. We have a 7 foot floor, exactly the same reason for lot 20.
The lot width, what's the width required there?
That is lot 26. You have that?
Not good, it doesn't have it on the
It's on the bulk table.
5,000 square feet.
No, width.
It's lot area. The lot width is 40 feet, we have 36 foot 4.
Okay, 40
40 feet.
40 foot, and on 25, the lot width is.
It'll be the same.
Go there.
Okay.
Yeah, Citing
So both of those lots are shy of few.
But we're not,
Again, pre-existing
variance on that, they didn't even ask for it.
which,
Yeah, I would.
For the floor area ratio, you call
Guys,
it,
let's have one conversation. It really, just the crosstalk is distracting.
thank you, sir. The, for lot number 26, again, 3 spaces, we have 0.3 for the floor area ratio. On lot 24 is 0.32, and that is simply because the lot widths themselves, the areas that they.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
So lot 9 is also 40 feet?
Yes. Okay, moving on to lots 9 and 10.
Yeah.
Those are across the street. I wanted to clarify something with one of, I think there's been some misunderstanding. We put this drawing together based on one of the comments, one of the public comments, because we were cognizant and wanted to, one of the public understand we were addressing and concerned about their concerns. So this is lot 9 and 10 across the street. This is the side, this is the elevation that you can see from the street. And this is the house that exists. But between this, there is a vacant lot.
2 big lots.
Thank you. At the public hearing, woman, and maybe her husband, they spoke about looking into their bedrooms and things of that nature with regard to the proposal here. We thought they meant that this property. What they were talking about was the vacant lot between them, and we didn't realize that until the last meeting. So I wanted to make sure that it was very clear that nothing exists there now. So I kind of find it hard to fathom the, if it doesn't exist, how do we talk?
Not only that, but there are not even any building plans filed for those lots. They're not, there's nothing filed, there's nothing planned, and it's just a result of us.
Yeah, that's all well and good, but we also have to consider that at some point in time, if that's a buildable lot, that somebody may build something there. And so we're looking at all of it, but it's helpful to know that as of right now, there's no bedrooms.
Sure. Okay. And the same thing would go for us if we were, if she built next to us and we wanted to build, we'd have the same problems that she is claiming. So it's reciprocal. It's not just, well, it's how do I want the neighborhood to look? But I don't want your.
Yeah, that would be presuming that they would be building a building of similar height and they were building a single family. Sure. And we're having to decide whether or not your building can receive a variance for being occupancy. This is a 1.5 story issue here on these 2 buildings, which I just want you to know, right up front, substantial.
Okay, understood, thank you. With respect to yards, there is no side yard requirement. We can build right to the side yard per code, so I want to make that very clear as well. So we are actually back from the yards on our plans. That being said, in order to, so we've got to, and I understand where you.
Why are you only showing one building? Where's the other lot is here, right?
So it's, where's the,
Behind it.
it's behind it. So what we're looking at, if I may,
Yeah.
so from West Union Street, we're looking this way in that.
Okay, so that's here.
So the building is here,
Okay.
okay, in this plan. Could you please bring that building up? Okay, so from West Union, we're looking this way,
Right, got it.
and the building is here. Splitting, it's split by the 2 lots, right? Thank you.
So it goes all the way through to Hunter, I forgot, yes.
Yes. So there any like the
Bird's eye view, 3D renderings of
We did all of that. We presented all of those items. We actually did a balloon float and had the board there for it. So yes, we do have those items. I don't know how to address them at this time.
It's okay.
Going through that, that's okay by you.
That's not something, if you weren't here for it, you weren't here for it, unfortunately. So.
Yeah.
So something I'd like to address, and I appreciate your understanding that this is substantial for you. I would
Well, it's
also,
just a substantial, when we are considering, these applications, we have to consider whether or not these asks are substantial. And this is without a doubt, 1.5 stories higher, variance is a substantial ask.
okay. So where does that put us?
I've heard.
Thank you.
There's another 840.
Yes. So, again, these are all conceptual designs. We're here, obviously, for your approval. We've gone to the other boards. Our intent was to accommodate as much of the planning and zoning on our parcels as is required. They allow us a 3-family. We try to pull all those items into the property. They simply can't be done. What we could do is not request a height variance, but then request a parking variance for these 2 buildings. So which is more substantial? That we have parking accommodated on site, or that we are requesting 4'6" for this location, and where the building pops up just for that piece, that is the 14,
Right, that's ridiculous, 1.5 stories.
Right, so it's not like it's a giant building and a large monolithic mass. It is a part of a building, sort of like the roof ridge or the chimney or things of that nature to make the building function. But it's not a mass that's.
I got it.
That's my position on that. For these lots, lot 9, due to its size and its existing configuration, requires 6 variances. 2,606 square feet of lot area, 3 foot 2 inches on the lot width. Again, these are not setbacks, this is just a lot. Measurements. We have 14 foot 6 inches for the area that I just depicted in height, and developmental coverage 134 square feet total. The floor area ratio, because of the size of the lot, we're requesting 1.7 for the floor area ratio and 4 parking spaces.
And 7 are required.
Correct. Right, 7 on that one, Jeff?
Yes, correct.
Thank you. So for lot number 10, which is right next to it. This one, there is a lot requirement. We're requesting a variance for 2,521 square feet, where the minimum requirement is 5,000 square feet.
Yes.
Thank you. Again, existing non-conforming lot. The lot width, we're short by an inch. The lot height, again, the same 14 foot 6 inches we discussed there. The floor ratio is 1.48 rather than 1.47. And we're also requesting 4 parking spaces for the same reasons we stated for lot number 9. That is sum and substance of the project.
Matt,
Yes.
existing non-conforming lot, how? It's not like was there a building there? Is there a footprint? That, it's just a
vacant lot.
It's just a
No,
vacant
no
lot.
such thing exists.
Yeah.
Yes.
There is no such thing as a vacant
That's what I'm getting at. I don't know what that means.
It doesn't
It
exist.
does not exist.
Okay.
How could you, it's a buildable lot, so hear me out, and perhaps
That's why I wanted clarification.
so the lot exists. Technically, you couldn't build on it, because the zoning doesn't permit it
To today's day.
to today's standard. So you've just taken a lot that was usable and now made it not usable. So it is an existing non-conforming.
That, I don't think that's an interpretation that exists. Yeah.
I think this sounds semantic to me mostly.
It is semantic.
Well, okay, the point is this. There are buildable lots. And because the zoning changed, they are now non-buildable lots. Right? And so now there's a problem because the owner has an issue
Buildings
with
and
regard to
uses.
the value of the lot as the use of the lot. And the city would never see these lots developed if you did not grant the variances for their existing footprints.
So. If it's not a buildable lot, why are we talking about building on it?
Because it was originally a buildable lot when it was formed,
Okay. But it's not buildable now.
based on current zoning code. This lot existed pre-zoning. New zoning. That's why they're existing non-conforming. That's how I interpret them.
Like an orphan piece of.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, then there's lots of them. There are lots of, that we call them basically, substandard or non-buildable lots. I mean, you can apply for a variance to build on them, okay? But, so that is where we get into this lot area issue. So this is in excess of 50%.
On the lot area. Yes. Yes.
Okay, and, okay, fellas, this is, okay.
I appreciate where you're coming from.
What was the name of that movie, A Bridge Across the River Kwai? Wow, okay. Okay, all right, good. Anything else?
I am,
I think that's it. I just,
unless you have any
You're
questions.
wearing your best shirt.
Great shirt.
It is a great shirt.
Why, thank you. Well, very much.
deliberate.
I wish I were wearing shorts, to be honest.
Okay, keeping with tradition, Anthony, I'm gonna let you start.
Which lot are we gonna start?
So let's use your cheat sheet, start with lot 24. And let me, before you do that, 24 West Union, I got all of 24. Okay. Yep. Okay. All right, let's discuss.
24, so.
I'm gonna take a moment to excuse myself because I have no frame of reference for this. This is a-
Yeah, no, you would have to recuse yourself anyway, so.
All right.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay, here's my, all right. So. Yeah, we're looking for variances that, as far as I understand, two of these don't actually are actually pre-existing non-conforming because they're an existing structure. But as far as the parking variance for the 24 spaces, I consider that a substantial variance. That would be my feeling.
Well, so the applicant has made the point, and, it's understandable. I've never counted. Does anybody actually know how many churches there are in the city of Kingston? There's like 100 of them.
God.
I mean, I've never seen a city with more churches.
Yes.
Especially around that area.
A lot of churches. And But these churches were often, they were built, many of them were built before the advent of cars. People walked. Imagine that.
That's why we have so many.
It's just shudder to think. So it's just different. We're talking about a modern day application to put retail, commercial on the ground floor and housing above. The impact, which is a continuous impact every single day, for that is 24 spaces, 100%. There's no parking on site. Is substantial. That is going to have a huge impact on the on that neighborhood, which is constrained to begin with.
Yeah, very
It's constrained
limited
everything.
street parking, yeah,
So
On a normal
we're
day.
all in agreement on that.
yeah,
Right? Okay.
yeah.
You know, the height doesn't make, I don't understand why it's an existing non-conforming use. I have no idea why the height is an issue. I
Yeah,
mean, the building's there, so,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a non-issue.
yeah,
But the go, no go
yeah,
on this is gonna be the parking.
that's my feeling.
It's really, really tough.
Yeah.
The floor area ratio, again, I mean, it's a
It's
pre-existing building.
non-conforming,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so.
Are we gonna make rulings on these one by one, or are we gonna look at them all and make a ruling?
I think we should probably do them one by one.
Yeah, at some point, you consider them all generally, and when you guys are making rulings, you really gotta separate each application.
Yeah.
So can we
Do you
do
want-
line by line? Okay.
I guess, do we want to deliberate them all and then go back and do them, or we want to do them as we're going?
All right, let's just keep.
I
No, no, no.
don't care either way, I just
I'm
want to
good,
make sure we're all
I'm
on the
good.
same page.
All right, lot 25. Now, by the way, is there one more. Is there anybody else that wants to speak on that particular application? Okay.
I agree with the 24 spaces.
You-
If I may make a comment?
Yep.
If we don't, obviously, there are no parking spaces, which means the building could not be used for anything without a variance.
No, I get it. I get it. But it's up to us to decide whether or not an area variance for what your intended use for is, is gonna fly in that zone. And it's a bit challenging right now, which would mean that you would have to probably come back with another proposal that wouldn't require 100% variance.
They would all require 100% variance because any use to put into this building, there's zero parking. But there are also municipal lots down the street. That's something we discussed with planning early on.
When the
Yeah,
church
but
was
they're not
using it, they
within-
were allowed to park.
But they're not within, if they're not within
It's different.
400 or 500 feet, they can't be allocated
Like it is now.
to the building, unfortunately. So anyhow, let us deliberate and then.
Just want to make the point. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, okay, but there are uses, of course, any use in the building is gonna require a variance. How much of a variance is what at the question. 24 spaces, the 100% ask. Like I say, the floor area ratio and the height.
So I just want to play devil's advocate for a second and just ask you that. So if I kept it as a church and I brought my own congregation over there, they could use all the 100-something space. I mean, just, how would that play, how did the church use it before then? They had it recently.
Hasn't been a church in years, there's no.
And those other lots where the parking for the church.
Or you in the buildings, parking.
I guess my point is, I don't see a use that would require less parking.
Was it the lot next door used for parking?
What's that?
Yeah, the lot next door was used for parking.
That is correct, but they're separate lots, that they just happen to do that.
Well, no,
The point is,
you own the
these are-
lots that you're supposed to do that.
No, that's the same problem the Hibernians are having with their church. That's not correct.
Hibernians on building a church.
Yeah.
No, not community center. I'm talking about.
May I, thank you. So these are individual applications, they're individual lots. One has nothing to do with the other in technicality. Again, each one needs to be voted on its own merit for its own lot. With regard to lot 24, it is its own lot without any parking. It's never had parking. Any use to be put in that would require a variance. A residential use seems to be the lowest amount of parking that you would need out of any of the uses in the table. And if appropriate, please correct me. We are not allowed to do residential on the main floor. It has to be commercial per the code. So that being said, we are constrained to request these parking spaces.
Couple things, you can do use variance, you can apply for, and then also, there's other things, considering that you own adjacent property, that can potentially be done, some other methods to feasibly accomplish what you're looking to accomplish, other than a use or an area variance. So those are just, I'm just throwing those out there too, as other potential options that you do have.
The reason we went for area variances is they're normally the most reasonable. Use variances are never supposed to be permitted, happen to be on zoning at one point in life, set on that side.
The bar is much, much higher.
Yeah.
Yes, more is much higher. So that's why we asked for those. And I realized it appears to be a lot, but then the building stays vacant. There's nothing else to do. And no matter who it is.
Not necessarily, but see, you guys bought 5 lots, 5 parcels, one with a building on it, and 4 others with no building. Right? I mean, conceivably, you could just basically, you could just basically do what you want to do there and use the rest of the lots for parking.
Yeah.
My
Sell
point-
each
Or I
lot.
could sell each lot separately and keep the building and ask for a variance because there's no use in the building.
I'd like to step back.
I'm just saying that all I'm saying is that you appeared to decide to take the route to just max out everything.
We worked with planning and historic and heritage with the overall development of this. They were very in favor of the project that we were providing. And that's why we're here.
Okay, good. So we're going to continue lot 25. I'm going to start with Anthony. We'll just keep going. Sorry to go to you each time, but just, unless Donna, you want to start, you want to do that, you do this one?
Oh, okay. All right, well, we need 3 feet 8 inches on the width on this lot for this building. That's going up because it's going to take, I got me the picture here.
Well, that's a lot, it's a lot of width, it's 3 feet.
Yeah, so that's what this portion of the housing will be on here with that there. So there's that. Then you need a half a foot of height. Or a half story with open air. If it's open air, and then we need another 3 parking spots on here. And then the floor ratio is 0.32.
Yeah, but 30+%
Yeah.
floor area.
So, at this point, I mean, I don't have an issue with the width so much. I don't have an issue with the height. I'm shaking my head at the parking spaces. So, because my numbers, even though we have to take them as separate, it's significant for the neighborhood, the numbers for whole. So, that's where I stand on that one. On lot 25.
Mary?
I'll take 26.
No. We're still
Oh,
talking about
Sorry.
25.
Okay, I agree with this, the spaces, parking spaces is what's getting me. I mean, I know we're looking at separate lots. I understand that completely. But looking at a grand total of parking spaces in that area today, in 2022, on a weekday, not even talking about a weekend, when there's activities going on and festivals going on downtown, they're crunched for parking, the businesses are crunched for parking. I go to the hairdresser down there and I have to park about a couple of blocks away just to go get my hair trimmed, so, and that hairdresser's not too far from these lots. So my concern again is the parking spaces. The height, a little bit, but not so much. More on the parking spaces.
My thoughts,
Yeah, go ahead.
in terms of the variance seeking for lot width, 3 feet 8 inches, I wonder whether the benefits sought by the applicant could be achieved by some other method feasible other than area variance, and want to know why, I think combining the lots would take care of that issue. As far as the maximum building height of an extra half a story, I think the need to make the extra building height has a negative impact on community character based on the design of the parking entrance and the relevance to the public-private engagement area of the building, as far as the street view is concerned. And same thing with floor area ratio, with as far as if there's another means, a smaller building obviously could get rid of probably 2 of those variances. So, it feels like there's other means that the applicant could take in order to build something here that would require less variances. And I think that this, I honestly don't have that big of a issue with the parking spaces on this application for this particular lot, but it's taken into account with all of them as a whole, then it becomes the substantial. And I think us building a design that didn't need the other variances would probably also need a less of a parking variance, and therefore would be significantly less substantial.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, to interrupt, but somebody in the audience who was supposed to.
The
Yeah.
public hearing is.
Public hearing is
No, but they made a comment about her lot, she wants to make a comment back about how it's a vacant lot.
Okay, are we using that information at all?
No.
She has a building plan, she plans on building a lot, that's what she's.
That-
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. The public hearing is closed,
Yeah.
and we indulged the applicant just to review for our purposes. That was the only reason we took.
Well, I mean, I knew that was a vacant lot when they were proposed the last time we talked about this. I don't know if everybody else did.
I kind of got that idea.
Yeah, so I think that
Too, yeah.
the information we're using to deliberate doesn't really change.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, so we're on to lot 26 now.
Well, 26 I have,
I'm sorry, did we do,
25, we're just gonna.
I'm losing my mind here. Did we do 26? Yeah.
No,
No,
No, that was 25, we just.
Yeah, now I know why. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Okay, my concerns with 26 is the same as 25. The height and the parking spaces. Like Anthony said, parking spaces, individual lot wouldn't be really an issue, but looking at the overall, that's a lot of parking spaces. And the height, and like Anthony said also with the.
Well, just so you know, it's 42%. So
Yeah.
they're looking for 42%.
yeah, I mean,
Variance.
it's certainly substantial, but
Yeah,
that doesn't mean that it can't,
Yes,
you know, in the right scenario, it can't be granted.
right.
Yeah,
And I have a question.
no argument that this is negative.
On the division here of the lots, it's showing that this elevator stairwell is on both lots.
Yes, it's a common wall, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
We could move it to one side and then it's all on one lot, but it's going to defeat the purpose. Then we wouldn't need a variance for one lot, we would for the other.
Hold that thought.
Happy to if it helps.
No, I'm talking about, you know, like Anthony said earlier, when we were talking about 25, some of these problems go away if you join these lots and do something, you know, do something less, that requires less.
Oh, you're
variance.
shifting it to the other.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Well, just doing a lot line deletion and treating it as one lot and doing something where you have the space to be able to park on site. And you understand what I'm saying?
I think I know where you're going.
Okay. 26, Anthony, anything else?
26, I'll just make sure I'm looking at the right one. 26,
The lot widths don't seem to be all that substantial.
no, yeah, they're not.
The half stories, even maybe isn't a bridge too far. I mean, it's the parking we get into issues with, and this one floor ratio,
Well,
32%.
yeah. My concern is, you know, with the height is specifically the reason why they're looking for the height is to do the parking underneath.
Right.
And if you look at, you know, RT, it quite specifically says that new construction will be compatible with the established character of existing development in the district. You know, so, I mean, you know, by the layout of, you know, what it says, I mean, like, I think that's a significant impact on community character. You know, because of the reason why they want the height variance.
Yeah, well, just so we know, all of the heights have to do with trying to reduce the number.
I made the same note on every application.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Right, so, I mean, that requirement for those variances are being created by an attempt to solve another problem. Thinking that this problem is not as significant as the other one, which is parking.
yeah,
And so, just putting that out.
yeah.
Okay, Donna? You have
I
anything?
just want to make one observation that when we went out to do the balloon height thing, it was very, it really put into context how tall these buildings actually were going to be because of the extra layer of the parking underneath the building. And it just seemed like the two buildings, one across from the other, okay, we're going to be like monoliths in the neighborhood. Something that's not there, period, even though there might be some buildings like the church height is a little bit here and something maybe a little height, they're not this size. It's just a little different.
Well, the goal to reduce the impact on parking by placing parking underneath the buildings,
Yes.
definitely push these buildings up, makes them definitely more massive, requires
Yeah.
yet again another a variance. And I also think dramatically impacts the architecture.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. So lot 9. I'll start on this one. In almost every single way, this is a bridge too far.
Mhm.
And part of it is, you know, it's not the applicant's fault per se. It's, these lots don't conform And so, we could talk about lot 9 and 10, because they have almost exactly the same issues. It's, if you want to do something with these two lots, they should be combined.
Yeah, exactly. They were under the same ownership previously, they're under the same ownership now. It seems certainly reasonable that the applicant could take the, it's a feasible way to pursue to avoid the variance would be to combine the lots. And, in city history, we've seen many other applicants do that. So,
Choice.
yeah.
Okay. Let's go back and review each one of these individually. So,
We said the same things on 9 and 10, right?
so I've got no problem with the height on lot 24. I have no problem with the floor area ratio.
Right.
I have no problem issuing those variances to pre-existing building, not a problem. The 24 spaces, on the other hand, is the challenge. And I submit that there's gotta be some other uses that would require less of an impact on parking. I don't know what they are.
There are.
Well, and there's also the option of combining lots and using some parking, in adjacent lots. Or, you could actually, you don't even need to combine the lot, you could still use the adjacent.
Well, the adjacent lot was used for parking?
Exactly.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right, so it can be used.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, it's on.
And they're allowed to use the adjacent lot for parking and not combine them if they want to. The choice could be to just not build with one of the buildings.
Okay, anybody have a problem with? So I'm gonna call the question on, the first one is the floor area ratio. Can I get a motion to approve that?
Question, point of order, if I may. I've heard the mention of making parking on these locations. Parking is not a permitted use.
It's a change of use.
It's just not a permitted use.
So we're gonna make
As far as
it
I know,
parking lot, it would be a change of use.
I hear what you're saying, but that you, in other words, we have a
You
parking.
really have to bear with me here. I mean,
Listen,
I didn't come down with yesterday's.
combine the lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second lot is
No,
possible.
no, no.
I'm
not suggesting.
No, and not for nothing, but
Yeah.
you solved that problem by deleting the lot line,
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay?
combining the lot.
It means honestly. And not for nothing, but that's how you solve it. I mean, we have to take into consideration, things that are self-created. Well, you can also solve the problem by doing certain things too. It's up to you.
I completely
It's your property.
understand.
But to say that
Planning.
you can't put parking on the adjacent lot because it's a change of use, and.
It's just not a permitted use.
It's not a permitted
We're
use.
making a parking lot,
Well,
which is not a permitted
you
use.
can if you delete the lot line.
You could also put a smaller structure on there and use that and use excess parking.
I don't have an answer to that. It's not something I've thought of after going through planning and the rest of the boards.
Lot line deletion makes the property bigger.
Yes,
Yeah.
and allows for parking. But
Solve the problem.
I appreciate, no question, I appreciate what you're trying to do. I also appreciate the fact that you're looking to build housing, which we sorely need. But, we have to take into account all these different variables and whether or not you have the ability to do these things differently in a way that reduces the the ask for the variances.
We did not come here to, I realize you didn't come down with the rain yesterday, and I appreciate the comment. We have the job of coordinating between multiple boards in the municipality. And this was the best concept design we could come up with to meet everybody's needs, and that's where we're here today.
Okay.
Thank you for your consideration.
So the first one I have up is the floor area ratio. Do I have a motion to approve that?
I'll second. This is lot 24.
Yes.
No. Yes, sorry. Shit.
Make sure everybody signs the sheet before they.
Yeah, no.
Investment.
Yeah, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All those opposed, say no.
I like the momentum, thank you.
Right. You gonna sign and pass them around now, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take its time. I have a long.
Got about 23 of them.
Okay. Okay. The 3 foot, I have a motion to approve or disapprove the 3 foot variance on lot 24.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll
It's already.
Second,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
All right. All those opposed? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve or disapprove the variance for 24 parking spaces?
I'll move to disapprove.
I'll second.
Those in favor or opposed? Opposed?
Wait,
Good.
we're in favor
Excuse
of.
me.
Motion to the.
We
Motion to deny.
Yeah, yeah. We're in favor of the motion to deny.
Sorry about that. Misspoke.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, now we're on to lot 25.
We need some Brian.
No, they're the back and run.
So on the first issue of 3 feet 8 inches, which is the width. Do we have an issue with that?
They could combine lots and just, yeah. So I'm making a motion to deny.
I'll second.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Sure.
Motions, supposed to be made in the affirmative.
I'm sorry.
Now, you want to clarify whatever this is?
So we have a motion to deny the request for an area variance pertaining to the lot width. That's my understanding that that was presented.
I agree, however, motions by Robert Gould have to be made in the affirmative.
So
Because it predisposes a negative connotation.
So your problem is with the wording of the motion, that somebody moved to deny your application for a lot width variance. So what issue with the wording do you have, other than?
How would it be consistent with, how would you word it?
To be consistent with New York State zoning code training, it needs to be made in positive, the affirmative. So it is a motion to approve, and then the members can state yes, yay, or nay.
Well, I see what you're saying. With a question.
Okay, so change the question.
Yeah.
So it just makes it clear to everyone. I'm unclear as to what
I
happened.
was a little.
With the part.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not here to write any papers, I'm just trying to get an understanding.
no, I appreciate that. I truly do. Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the, area variance for the lot width on lot 25?
Well, we're not making it.
So basically, yeah, this,
Well,
so basically there is an area variance before the board, and the motion.
So there's no motion being made,
Yeah, no,
so it's declined.
You're denying.
Denied. Right.
I don't. Yeah, I have to disagree with, I'm not quite sure with the wording aspect of.
I mean, as the law, GML is very clear, it has to be made in the affirmative.
We're asking if everyone's in favor of denying.
No, it must be made in the affirmative.
so in order to, so you can ask a moment,
Yeah, that
if
can
we
be.
oppose a motion to approve,
Yeah.
Yes.
so,
Then you would vote no.
yeah.
What motion to approve for years?
Yeah.
Changing it tonight for, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
I'm
just
One
trying.
or the other.
I guess the way you.
Nobody's presenting, someone has to be presenting a motion to approve this. Nobody's presenting it, we're all moving to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I imagine you can take that up on any further.
You have to say all in favor of denying.
Oh, one
Someone
more
make a motion, somebody.
If there's a motion to approve, everyone is opposed. Right, so you can say all opposed. And say aye. All right, that's the same thing?
That's, yeah, that's what I'm.
Okay.
So if we did it in the affirmative, like you said, there'd be no motion, no second, and then it would be denied.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Yeah,
But we need to vote to oppose granting this.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Nay.
So somebody has to basically move to oppose granting a variance.
I move to oppose granting variance.
I don't,
I would say,
I don't see how that's not the same thing.
It's semantics.
It's semantic, right? Yeah,
you get a motion, you get a second, then you say all in favor, yay, all opposed, nay.
Well, so when it comes to council, the way they actually do it is they say on the motion, which is whatever the law is, the yays or the nays. So
Yeah.
if we say on the emotion of the variance, does anyone approve? We say no, so I think we oppose.
Figure this out.
But I mean, if we're gonna do that right now, I don't know, if we have to do that right now.
We're recording live right now.
Yeah.
Just really.
I know.
Street right now is how we're.
Yeah,
I'll continue how we've been doing it. for-
this is how we've been doing
Yeah,
it for a year.
Whatever makes sense.
And
So we're doing, Tony originally made the, and Mary made the second. All those in favor of denying this application of this variance on this particular lot?
I'm kind of afraid to say it.
Right.
But if I say yay, it could mean something
No,
other than yay.
we're clear on what it is.
It's not clear.
yes, let's make sure the record is clear.
Okay, so all those in favor of denying this variance regarding the width of, so I've got Tony made the first, you seconded it. All those in favor of denying, don't make me do this again.
We've got a few more to go here.
Yeah. All right,
You signed those, Brian?
I forgot to sign that one.
And another one.
There's another right there next to you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Lot number 25, the half story is being requested for an area variance. Have a motion?
No.
I'm gonna make a motion, so I'm gonna say.
It's called, you make the motion, deny or approve.
Deny.
I'll second.
Jump in anytime, Donna. This is like the Tony and Mary show. So, I'm sorry, so all those in favor of denying the application?
Aye.
The motion that was made, yes. Still on 25.
Right here, right?
Yep.
So here, I'm gonna make a motion to deny that. For the 4 area.
I'll second it, the denial.
All those in favor of denying the floor ratio variance for lot number 25?
Aye.
Aye.
Last but not least, parking.
I'll motion to deny.
Second.
Favor?
How deny?
Denying the application for the parking spaces. Now we're on to lot 26. I think.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I mean, this is 38-40 West Union.
I think he's referring to the SBL, less,
Okay,
to the SBL number, yeah.
got it. Yep. Okay, so lot 26, we have a 5-foot lot width area variance request. All those in favor of the motion, please. Okay, and that is for the width. Should be asking for all those opposed, but everybody chimed in, I guess there is no opposed. Okay. So next one up is the half-story height on lot 26.
I move to deny.
I'll second.
All those in favor of the motion to deny
Um,
the height, okay. Next up is the floor area ratio. Basically 30%.
I'll make a motion to deny.
I'll second.
All those in favor of the motion to deny, but not least are the parking spaces.
Make a motion to deny.
I'll second.
Feel like a little bit further to do.
Yeah, you're. You have to make it difficult.
All those in favor of denying the request for the area variance for parking spaces?
Aye.
26. Okay. So this is lot. Setback. Moving on. We're talking about the lot area.
I make a motion to deny.
I'll second.
All those in favor of the motion to deny 2,606 square feet lot area variance request? Area variance? Yeah, we're talking about the height. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Lot width. Okay, so lot width, 3 feet, 2 inches.
I move to deny.
Someone's going to be here. Someone's
In favor of denying the 3-foot, 2-inch lot width area variance request on lot number 9. So now,
Just one thing.
Even if we clarification,
Yeah.
for those two lots, the lot width, even if they were combined, would still be the same.
So a couple things. Right now, really, they should be just deliberating and making decisions. I understand you want to keep arguing.
No, sir, not,
Yeah,
just clarifying. No, sir. No argument here.
well, just let me clarify that point. You're saying what are the relative widths of the two?
They're back to back as opposed to next to each other.
They're back to back, right?
Right.
A new proposal though couldn't bring new things, it can be reevaluated.
You're not allowed to put anything on it.
The width does not change by combining the two
That's
lots.
because they're tandem lots here.
Just to clarify. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. We are now on lot 9, we're doing the 1.5 story request for variance.
Finish that.
You just did that.
Did I-
The lot width, the width.
The width. Did
Wait a minute,
you get
guys.
someone down?
Hold on, hold on.
Oh, he's talking to the signature form.
Yeah, the signature form, yeah.
I'm still on the,
You're still on lot width, right?
no, I'm on the height. I sent the
You sent it.
lot width down.
Oh, okay. Is that the one?
Just
This is for the width, yes.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Width.
anytime.
Did everybody sign it? Yeah.
Now can I get a motion on the 1.5 story?
I move to deny.
I'll second. All right, so I got one behind.
All those in favor of denying the 1.5 story area variance height request for lot number 9. Now we're on to floor area coverage for lot number 9. The request is 1.7.
This one.
I'm sorry, I did jump over that because it's highlighted. Sorry about that. The developmental coverage, forgot about that. Let me just make sure I got that. Yes, all right. Okay, so we're on to what developmental coverage?
No, I'll, yeah.
Word.
I'll say.
Do so many in a row.
Make a motion.
I did.
Done.
I was quiet, sorry, you should see.
Would you just say it louder for the record, just so I can?
I make a motion to deny the developmental coverage on lot 9.
I second the denial of development coverage on lot 9.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The denial, thank you. Floor area ratio. That is substantial.
I move to deny the floor area ratio of 1.7.
Second, all those in favor?
Of the denial.
Yes. Last one on lot number 9, which is the parking spaces.
I move to deny the 4 parking spaces on lot 9.
I'll second.
All those in favor of the motion to deny spaces, area spaces for lot number 9? All right, last but not least, lot number 10. Okay. Lot area, 2,521 square feet, area variance request.
I'll second.
All those in favor of the motion to deny the area request for 2,521 feet for lot number 10? Aye. Okay, so,
Yeah,
yeah, it's 1 inch.
yeah.
I second with the orange.
All those in favor of approving the motion to grant a 1 inch variance on the width of lot 10? Okay. Lot number 10, a 1.5 story height request for an area variance on the building in lot number 10.
I moved to deny. 7.5 stories.
All those in favor? Okay, we have a floor area ratio of 1.48 on lot number 10. All those in favor? And last is for 4 parking spaces, area variance 7 required.
I moved to deny.
I'll second.
All those in favor of the motion
Aye.
for the 4 parking spaces?
Aye.
On lot number 10. Okay. Before we bring up anything, I just want to pass this around. This is the application from before. Another Mercedes.
Okay,
Back
this is for this
one. That,
You guys, the board did address all the variances that you applied for, but our zoning enforcement officer just brought to our attention tonight that it looks like each of these properties, all 5 of them, would need also a variance for usable open space. So that would be something that we'll look into if you want to apply for the variance, if you change the project around. And we'll apply for the variance.
The reason we didn't apply for usable open space is because the common was on a roof.
Well, just look at the definition, because the definition doesn't use the term ground. So that here to not.
Happy to do so. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your guys' time.
You, Brian,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Hold on, Josh.
we gotta close the meetings.
Thank you very much.
Good night, now.
You guys say.
Okay. Can I have a motion to close?
I'm going to close the meeting.
Second,
All right.
You have to sign. I know.
So Mary, you made the motion
Yes, I did.
and
Donna seconded.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.